Hey, this is Miss G. I miss y'all so much. It's so quiet in this building when we don't have students, and you're why we're here. So I miss it when y'all aren't. I miss y'all when you're not here. So anyway, we have made it to our mid-year point. So we're at Christmas. That means half of our school year is gone, and we have learned a lot of things. Now, I have sent messages to everybody on Schoology saying, yes, you have to take the exam, or congratulations, you're exempt. Of course, everyone can take the exam if they choose to. So that means if you have a 79 and you want to try to take that exam to get that B, you're welcome to take it. I will have it posted on all three classes Schoology. So anybody who wants to take the exam is welcome to take it. But if you got one of those messages that says you're exempt, that means you don't have to take it. Now, everybody else who did get one, you may have gotten one that says this may change. That's because some of you have still not taken Friday's test, which means you currently have a 0 there in my grade book, which means that your grade's probably much lower than it actually is. So if you didn't take that test Friday, please get that done as soon as you can and get that sent to me so I can grade it. So if you're taking my exam, you're allowed to use your notebook, of course. So you have a lot of vocabulary in that notebook, and we're also going to review that today. So let's make sure that we are taking notes properly so we can use our notes to help us pass the exam. Okay, so let's get started. For the people who are exempt, I'll see you in January. January 5th is when we start virtual school back. So make sure everybody's logging in on January 5th so we can start our virtual school. We're going to be virtual to at least January 21st. So, and then hopefully we'll be able to come back to traditional school. So I'll see y'all then. And for those who are taking my exam, let's get started on our review. Bye. Okay, so let's get started on this review. As I said, I am going to have a lot of vocabulary on there, so let's get this vocabulary out of the way first. You're going to need to know what is an integer. I hope that you know what an integer is because we have talked a whole lot about integers. I'm going to title this Midterm Review. I hope this pen isn't already going out. I just opened it. Midterm review, and it doesn't show up very well either. I'm going to pause my video and go get a new marker, and I'll be right back. Well, here's one. Let me use it. Maybe it'll be dark enough. Okay, so we have integer. Yeah, that's going to be better. You can see it better. So what is an integer? We know that an integer is a whole number that can be positive or negative, and this includes 0.
Teachers, if you have not picked up your checklist for first semester, please come by the office and pick it up. If you did not sign that you got it, you need to come up here and sign off that you have picked it up, so I will know everyone got it.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. So a whole number, an integer is a whole number that can be positive or negative, and it includes 0. And remember, 0 is a neutral number. It is not positive or negative. And another thing, you can find all integers on a number line. So remember that. Also, rational numbers. Rational numbers are positive and negative. whole numbers, fractions, decimals, and percentages. It includes all integers. So those rational numbers we've been working with all year, we know that rational numbers is special because they can all be represented as a fraction. Whole numbers can be represented as a fraction. Decimals can be represented as a fraction. Percentages can be represented as a fraction. And it doesn't matter if they are positive or negative, they are rational numbers. Okay, this one kind of throws people sometimes, absolute value. But we've been talking about absolute value a lot, so hopefully it will help. Absolute value is the distance a number is away from zero on a number line. One thing that is special about absolute value is that it will always be positive, because it's just the distance. So the absolute value of -5 would be +5. The absolute value of 6 would be 6. It's just how far it is away from zero. Okay, additive inverse. We have also talked about additive inverse a lot. Additive inverse is the opposite of a number. So if you have +2, the additive inverse would be -2. If you have +3, the additive inverse would be -3. So it's whatever you add to a number that will equal 0. So I'm going to put the opposite of a number that when added equals 0. And we're going to put an example. +2's additive inverse is -2, and they equal 0. +2 plus -2 equals 0. So the additive inverse of +2 is -2. The additive inverse of -3 is +3. Okay, inverse operation. We have been doing that a lot also. Means the opposite. Operation. So if you're adding, the opposite of adding is subtracting. The opposite of subtracting is adding. The opposite of multiplying is divide. And the opposite of divide is multiply. So you should be able to tell me what an inverse operation would be. Remember, inverse means opposite. Okay? What is a variable? And some of these questions may be in word form, as in, what is an integer? And you have to answer it's a whole number that can be positive or negative and includes zero. And some of them may be, tell me which one is an integer. So you would pick +2 or -2 or 0 or any of the ones. So you need to be able to apply these vocabulary, not just define them. So some of them will be definitions, some of them will be pick the certain one out. For instance, it could say which one is a variable, and you would know that a variable is a letter that represents an unknown number. So if you had a question that said pick the variable and it had a number and it had a at sign and it had a W, you would know that the variable is a letter. So it would have to be, it could be any letter. It could be A, it could be X, it could be W, etc. Any letter that represents an unknown number. Okay? Coefficient. Coefficient is the number next to the variable. For instance, if you had 2a, the 2 would be the coefficient. The number next to the variable, and we know that coefficients are multiplied with whatever the variable is representing. So if a is equal to 3, that would be 2 times 3. Okay, a constant. We've talked a lot about constants lately, especially when we're combining like terms. Constants are a number that has no variable. It's not going to change. A number with no variable. So it's not going to change. So an example would be 5.
Teachers, please check your remind. Teachers, please check your remind.
And it could be -1/2. It could be 6.79. None of those are going to change because they don't have a variable. Okay, what is an expression? An expression is a number sentence with no equal sign. No equal sign. So 2x minus 6. That is an expression. An equation, on the other hand, does have an equal sign. A number sentence with an equal sign, so you can solve it. So 2x minus 6 equals 12. This is an equation. And what is an inequality? Inequality is a number sentence with an inequality sign. What is an inequality sign? Less than, greater than. I can't talk and write at the same time. Hold on. So it could be 2x minus 6 is less than 12. 2x minus 6 is greater than 12. 2x minus 6 is less than or equal to 12. Or 2x minus 6 is greater than or equal to 12. Any of those are inequalities. Okay? You need to know, if you just saw this by itself, that it means less than. We did this just a few days ago in our notebook. You need to know that if you saw this by itself, that means greater than. Remember, you read them left to right. So you read it from this side. You need to know that this means less than or equal to. And you need to know that this means greater than or equal to. Let me check that message real quick to make sure it's not anything important. Okay. I have a meeting I have to go to. Okay, so let me look and see if I see anything else I need to talk about. Okay, I see when multiplying fractions, what do you do? Okay, so I'm just going to do this. When multiplying fractions, you multiply straight across the top and bottom. When dividing fractions, you're singing it, I hope. When you have two fractions and you want to divide, you flip the second one and multiply. Flip the second one and multiply. Okay, let me see if there's anything else I need to write out. Okay, you will need to know how to add and subtract integers. So we know, let me write a line. Okay. Adding integers. Can't forget how to do that, which we've been using it every day, so we shouldn't have forgotten how to do that. So we know that if they have the same sign, that equals the sum, or that means to add. If they have different signs, that means difference or subtract. We know when we are multiplying and dividing integers, same sign, remember they're different. Same sign means positive answer. And different signs means negative answer, only when multiplying and dividing. Okay? Remember, when you're talking about inequalities, an open dot means less than or greater than. This one means 1 is greater than I'm sorry, not 1. X is greater than 1. I did that backwards. I'm sorry. X is greater than 1. Because we see it's open, so that means it's not equal to 1. So that means X could be 2. It could be 1.5 because that's bigger than 1. It could be 20,000. This says X is greater than 1. This says remember, if it is a closed dot, that means or equal to. So let's do it to the left. You know that the left means that the numbers are going to be less than. So you're going to say X is less than or equal to 1. X is less than or equal to because the dot is closed. If the dot is open, there is no or equal to. So for example, this dot is closed, so that means the answer could be 1. It could be 1, it could be 0, it could be -1, it could be -1.5. There's all kinds of possibilities on what X could be. Okay? If you have -5 minus -2, then you know that this is a negative and a negative, so you have to make them positive. Now this says -5 plus +2. My signs are different, so that means I can subtract, and I keep the sign of the largest absolute value, which is -3. 5 minus 2 is 3. It's -3. If you see something like this, and it tells you to simplify, there is no equal sign, so this is an expression. So you're just going to distribute. So this would be 2a plus 2 times 6 is 12. Don't forget to trick or treat all the houses. You have to visit all those houses. Okay? If you see something like this, 6a plus 13 minus 2a, and it says to simplify or combine like terms. Like terms have the same variable or no variable. So the like terms here would be 6a, positive 6a, and negative 2a. My signs are different, which means I'm going to subtract, and I'm going to keep the sign of the largest absolute value, which is positive. So 6 minus 2 is 4a, and then I just bring down that positive 13, and that is as simple as I can go. We know also we have been doing solving equations and solving inequalities most recently. I'm going to get a new sheet of paper. So we know if we had 2a plus 6 equals 12, we would know to do inverse operations. So that positive 6, the inverse would be minus 6. We do it to both sides. This one is equal to 0 because those are additive inverses. Positive 6 and negative 6 is an additive inverse. We bring down our 2a, and 12 minus 6 is positive 6. We still need to get our variable by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by 2. A is equal to 6 divided by 2 is 3, and it's positive. Okay, we know if we see something like m over 16 minus 9 equals -8. We get rid of these constant numbers first. Remember, a constant number does not have a variable. So we have -9. We're going to add 9 to both sides. This one goes away. We're left with m over 16 is equal to -8 and positive 9. My signs are different, so I'm going to subtract. Keep the sign of the largest absolute value, which is 1. A positive, and the answer 9 minus 8 is 1. Okay, now m is being divided by 16, so the inverse operation would be to multiply both sides by 16. Now we're left with m is equal to positive 16. Okay, let me see. Let's do this one. What if you have something like 6 times x plus 10 equal to 48? First, you have to distribute. Trick or treat all the houses. So 6 times x is 6x. 6 times 10 is positive 60, and it's equal to 48. We subtract 60 from both sides. This one goes away. We're left with 6x. And 60 minus 48 is 12, and it's negative 12. Okay, so negative 12, I still have 6 is not by itself, so I'm going to divide both sides by 6. I'm left with x is equal to negative 2. All right, I think that is, I'm trying to make sure I haven't missed anything. You might have one that looks like this. X over 15 equals 11. X is being divided by 15, so to get rid of it, I would do the inverse, which would be to multiply times 15. This one goes away. I'm left with x, and 11 times 15. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to do this. 165, and it's positive. So I think that this is a fairly easy midterm exam. I tried to not make it super hard. I want everybody to do really well on it, but you need to know your vocabulary. It's very important that you know your vocabulary, which we have been using those academic vocabulary words all year. So I hope that everybody knows the definitions anyway, and you can be able to pick out what it is. So I will post the exam tomorrow. I hope y'all have a great day. And your exam will be due by midnight tomorrow night. So make sure you get it turned in. And y'all have a great Christmas. Bye-bye.